Supreetha. Welcome to my math class. So in the previous lectures on limits, we studied about the concept of limits. Yes, and then we studied the sandwich theorem. After that, we studied this function, that what happens to sin x divided by x as limit x tends to 0. Yes, we solved some problems on this. We studied about the indeterminate forms, that is 0 by 0, infinity by infinity, 0 into infinity. Yes. So to solve 0 by 0 and infinity by infinity forms, we had L'Hospital's rule. Yes. So in this video lecture, let us study more about left hand limit and right hand limit. For that, let me take a function, say f of x is equal to x square plus x. Okay. So now, let me give values for x. If it is LHL, how would you give values? Okay, we are finding limit x tends to 1 f of x. Okay, for LHL, we would give values from the left hand side. That is, if the limit is 1, let me take 0.999, something like 0.99. Yes, 0.9. All these values comes to the left side of 1. Yes, what comes on the right side? I would get 1.01, 1.1, 1.2, something like this. Yes, if this is x, you can find f of x too. Yes. Now, let me take the number line. Okay, if this is the number line, yes, our point 1, if this was point 1, then this was 0.999. Yes, this was our 1.01. Yes, so the small values. Okay, let me take another number line. So in our standard definition for limits, we wrote limit x tending to a, right? So let me take the limit point as a. So let me take the nearest value on the LHL, yes, as h. Okay, h is a very small value. It is not exactly 0, but h is tending to 0. Okay, so I can write this point as x is equal to a minus h. So this is our left hand limit. Okay, so for our right hand limit, so the h value would come on the right hand side. Yes, the distance is very small. Okay, so x would be a plus h. Okay, so let us solve some problem on this. Okay, say we have a limit. Okay, limit x tending to 2, x plus 2 divided by x plus 5. So to find the LHL, I would write limit x tending to 2 minus. Okay, so I have x plus 2 divided by x plus 5, right? So in the place of x, okay, I am changing this to h. Yes, h tending to 0. So what I have to write in the place of x for LHL? For LHL, x was equal to a minus h. What do we have in the place of a? We have 2 here, right? So I would have to write 2 minus h plus 2, okay, divided by, again, 2 minus h plus 5. Yes, so what do I get? I would get limit h tending to 0, 2 plus 2 is 4, minus h divided by 7 minus h. Okay, so now you just apply the limit and you would get 4 divided by 7. Now let me find the RHL. I would just write the same question, but I would have to write it as 2 plus because this is RHL. Okay, so I would get x plus 2 divided by x plus 5. Yes, so now I am replacing x with h. Okay, this is what we do for LHL and RHL. So always h would tend to 0 because it is very small, as I told you. Yes, I would have to replace x with a plus h now. For RHL, it will be a plus h. Okay, so what is a plus h over here? A is 2, yeah. So in the place of a, I would write 2, yes, plus h. Okay, so in the place of x, we wrote it as 2 plus h. What else is remaining? Plus 2, right? Let me write that down. Plus 2 divided by, in the place of x, again I would have to replace it with 2 plus h plus 5. Yes, what would I get? Again, limit h tending to 0, 2 plus 2 is 4 plus h divided by 5 plus 2 is 7 plus h. Yes, again I would get 4 divided by 7. So is LHL equal to RHL? Yes. So we can say the limit exists. Okay. Yes. Now I've taken a question from the JEE mains book. Okay. So yes, this is used for students who are preparing for their JEE exams. Yes. So this question says that limit x is tending to 1. Okay. And square root of 1 minus cos 2 into x minus 1 divided by x minus 1. Yes, as you can see, they are saying they have given us 4 options, in which first one is the limit exists and it is equal to square root of 2. Now, if they had given directly an option, okay, of the answer, if they had given only root 2 minus root 2, you could have just directly applied, like in the place of x, you could have substituted 1, yes, and if you had 0 by 0, you could have used L Hospital's rule, yes, but here they are asking if the limit exists. So when they ask these type of questions, you would have to check if LHL is equal to RHL, right? So option C says the limit does not exist because x minus 1 tends to 0. Yes, and option D, they are saying that LHL might not be equal to RHL. Yes, so let's check what's happening here. Okay, so now let me write the given question, that is limit x tends to 1, yes, square root of 1 minus cos 2 into x minus 1 divided by x minus 1. So now can you recall the formula for cos 2 theta? Yes, what was the formula for cos 2 theta? From your trigonometry chapter, it was cos 2 theta is equal to 1 minus 2 sine square theta. Okay, so from here, okay, we have in the place of theta x minus 1. Yes, so I can write it as limit x tending to 1, yes, square root of 1 minus, in the place of cos 2 x minus 1, I am replacing it with 1 minus 2 sine square x minus 1. Agree? Okay, this thing divided by x minus 1. Okay, so now if I multiply minus, I would get 1 minus 1, which cancels out. Yes, and then minus, I have minus into minus, that is plus, right? So I would get limit x tending to 1 square root of 2, yes, and we have square root of sine square, which is nothing but sine, yes, sine of x minus 1 divided by x minus 1. So at this point, some students might think we have sine x divided by x form, so let me write it as 1. No, you're wrong. Where did you go wrong? You should even check the limit value. Is the x tending to 0? No, right? It is tending to 1, so we cannot use that formula. Okay? Now, we have to check that if LHL is equal to RHL, right? So, let me take limit x tending to, there is a left hand limit. Yeah, so how would you write? Left hand limit, that is limit x tending to 1 minus, yes, square root of 2 sine x minus 1 divided by x minus 1 is equal to limit, I would have to replace it with h tending to 0. So for the left hand limit, I would replace x with, yes, I would replace x with a minus h, right? So what do we have in the place of a here? I have 1. Agree? So root 2 will remain as it is. Yes, I would get sine of, in the place of x, I am writing 1 minus h minus 1. Yes, 1 and 1 gets cancelled. Divided by 1 minus h minus 1. Yes, again 1 and 1 gets cancelled. So you know that sine is a odd function. Yeah. So what would I get? Limit h tending to 0 square root of 2. Yes, I would get minus sine h divided by minus h. So these things become, it cancels. Yes, numerator 1 and the denominator minus 1. Yeah, the minus and minus gets cancelled. Now you see we have limit h tending to 0 sine h divided by h. Right? So can I replace it with 1? Yes, so the answer is root 2. Okay. So did we have, yes, we had an option A, the limit exists and it is equal to root 2. This might be the answer. Yeah, let us check. Let us write, or let us take RHL now. Yes, what is the RHL? Limit x tending to 1 plus, yes, square root of 2 sine of x minus 1 divided by x minus 1. This is equal to limit h tending to 0. So in the place of x, I am replacing a plus h. Yes, what is a over here? 1, right? So I would get 1 plus h. Okay, so I'll write root 2 as it is. Yes, so in the place of x, I am replacing 1 plus h minus 1 divided by 1 plus h minus 1. Okay, so what would I get? I would get sine h divided by h. Again, I would get root 2. Yes, so I would get limit h tending to 0 square root of 2. Here 1 and 1 gets cancelled, 1 and 1 gets cancelled. So it is sine h divided by h. Now again, what is sine h divided by h? Isn't it 1? Yeah. So what would we get? We would get root 2 again. So now let us check the options that we had. So here LHL is what? Root 2. What is RHL? Root 2. So LHL equals RHL. What can we tell? We can say that the limit exists. Yes, limit exists. Okay. So yes, the correct answer is option A. Yes, so what did we study in today's class? We studied about limits. Yes, in this chapter on limits, we studied about the left hand limit and right hand limit. Yes, so we took an example and we saw that the LHL, basically we take the values from the left hand side. Yes, so that left hand side value we took it as H. H is basically the nearest value to A. So H is tending to A, but it is not exactly A. So from the LHL, for the LHL, we can replace X with A minus H. Yes, and then the same concept we use for the RHL too. So you can replace X with A plus H. Okay, we took a problem. That's it. Limit X tending to infinity. X plus 2 divided by X plus 5. We replaced X with A minus H for LHL. We replaced X with A plus H for RHL. And they both were equal. So we said that limit exists. And then we solved a JEE problem. Yes, this is useful for JEE mains. Okay, so as they have given the question, first we simplified the question. Okay, instead of taking the main question, which is a bit complex, we simplified it using some trigonometric formula. Yes, and then for that simplified thing, we applied LHL and RHL, and we got the same value, that is root 2 and root 2. So since they are equal, the answer was option A, saying limit exists and it is equal to root 2. Okay. So yes, that is it for today's class. Thank you.